told our agent this place holds 30,000 people.
It does. We had 30,000 here last night. Now play. The audience is getting restless.
We want Chili Willy! We want Chili Willy!
Did you know that Red Hot Chili Peppers' Californication almost didn't have its very own title track on the album? Or that the band was turned down by David Bowie when they approached him to collaborate? Why did singer Anthony Kiedis decide to sing gibberish on one of the album's hit singles? Stick around and we'll answer these questions and more on 10 Fun Facts About Californication by Red Hot Chili Peppers. Number 1. Rejected by Bowie. Following the release of One Hot Minute and the ensuing tour, Red Hot Chili Peppers wanted to take their album in a more electronic direction, along the lines of U2's Zooropa. They even asked famed synth rocker David Bowie to produce their album. However, the Starman politely declined, and the band went with a familiar face in Rick Rubin, who had already produced One Hot Minute, as well as Blood, Sugar, Sex, Magic. As singer Anthony Kiedis told MTV's Kurt Loder, "We basically called about 5 other people, from David Bowie to Flood, and they all pretty much said, 'That's very nice of you to ask, but I think not.'" Kurt Loder would state, "You called David Bowie? He's not even that busy." Anthony replied, "According to the letter he wrote me, he's very busy." But getting Rick, in the end, turned out to be, again, what we needed. When he came around, he fell in love with it like we had, and actually ended up making it his life for 2 or 3 months.
I love the smell of Chili Willy in the morning.
Number 2. Prodigal John. Guitarist John Frusciante left the Red Hot Chili Peppers following the success of Blood, Sex, Sugar, Magic, because the band's newfound popularity was too overwhelming for him to handle. He also spiraled downward after developing an addiction to cocaine and heroin, which developed while he was still on tour with the Red Hot Chili Peppers. Dave Navarro from Jane's Addiction would be hired in his place to record One Hot Minute. However, Dave would leave the band while touring to support the album, as it appeared he just wasn't a great fit for the band. According to bassist Flea, "Things got weird and we parted ways with Dave, which was a sad thing. He didn't quit and we didn't fire him, it just kinda went that way. And because of that, we ended up getting back with John. We got in my garage and started playing, and it felt really natural, really good, unforced and uncontrived, and fun." Flea invited John back to the Red Hot Chili Peppers following his successful completion of Rehab, which was thought to be inspired by a promise from Flea that the two would perform in a band together again if the guitarist was able to get sober. Vice President of A&R at Warner Brothers and CEO of Birdman Records, Dave Katz-Nelson, spoke with Rolling Stone shortly after John's return in 1998. To get him back in the band is a good thing for them. He's still a great guitar player, and I don't think people realize the significance that John played in the Chili Peppers sound. He wrote music for Under the Bridge and Breaking the Girl. John has problems like anybody else does, but he's in a good way right now. He's one of those guys who can really turn himself around. Flea wouldn't work with him if he wasn't clean.
My wife sends her love, asshole.
Tall and powerful.
Number 3. Flea's Garage. Californication was mostly written and rehearsed at a makeshift studio inside Flea's garage. Members of Red Hot Chili Peppers took a very relaxed approach to recording the album, including guitarist John Frusciante, who dialed his guitar work back a bit because he was still in the process of recovering from drug addiction. As singer Anthony Kiedis explains in his 2004 autobiography, Scar Tissue, "I love the way John was playing when he didn't have the technical capacity to do everything. He toned down and developed an incredible minimalist style. Every day he came up with something spectacular. Everyone was having fun. It was as if we had nothing to lose, nothing to gain. We didn't care, we were making music for the sake of making music."
And when I'm with friends, I like to have fun.
Number 4. One Happy Family. Californication was recorded analog style with all members of Red Hot Chili Peppers performing at the same time. As audio engineer Jim Scott told Sound on Sound in 1999, "We recorded all 4 of them at the same time, which is basically the sound of the album. John did guitar overdubs, maybe 2 or 3 on some of the songs, but in the world of overdubs, that's not a lot. The slide guitar on Scar Tissue is overdubbed, for example. I don't think he ever went back and replaced a whole guitar track. and Flea might have only replaced a few small sections. The sound of the record is what happened during that first week of recording. Flea, John, and Chad were about 10 feet away from each other in a pretty small circle, and Anthony was just a few more feet away in his booth, easily visible through the glass. They could see each other all the time. Number 5. 24 Songs. Red Hot Chili Peppers wrote about 28 songs in preparation for Californication. About 24 songs were finished and only 14 of them made the album. As drummer Chad Smith told Guitar World, "Yeah, like 24 songs were actually finished in the studio, and we're going to put 14 of them on the record. It was hard for us to agree which ones we think are the best. We all think differently about it. So we just kind of made a list of the ones that we all agreed on, and those are the ones that were put on the record. But I can't say for sure that those are better than the ones we left off."
Go home now, little doggies. Dawn, I want you to go home. Get off my bumper!
Number 6. No title track. Californication could have been a very different album, because the Red Hot Chili Peppers almost couldn't figure out how they wanted the album's title track to sound. In his autobiography Scar Tissue, singer Anthony Kiedis reveals that he had written lyrics which he thought were some of his best, but the band could not agree on how they wanted the music to represent the lyrics. That is, until one day guitarist John Frusciante had an epiphany and came to the studio claiming he had finally figured out something for the band to work with. It's a good thing that he did, because according to producer Rick Rubin, the band were pretty close to throwing the song out. Instead, it went from the scrap room floor and became one of the band's career-defining hits.
Dream of Californication. Dream of Californication.
Number 7. Hollywood Basement. The Red Hot Chili Peppers' hit song Californication is a compilation of stories and scenes that singer Anthony Kiedis had witnessed while in the city or throughout his daily life. The lyrics about psychic spies in China were inspired by a woman Anthony witnessed rambling on the street. The song also makes various references to films and pop culture, including Star Wars and Star Trek, through the lines, "Space may be the final frontier, but it's made in a Hollywood basement," and "Alderon's not far away." As the singer himself told Uncut Magazine in 1999, "Well, it's a new word, so it's open to interpretation. For me, it's about the process of the world being affected for better, for worse, for ugly, for beautiful, by the art and culture that is born in the state."
And Alderon's not far away, it's Californication.
Number 8. Burp. Time for gibberish. When bands work on a new song, sometimes the music is written first and lyrics are written later, while the band use improvised gibberish as a placeholder until lyrics are written. But sometimes these placeholder lyrics find their way in the final version of the song for various reasons. Sometimes the reason is because the band just can't think of lyrics. Sometimes the reason is that the band is already behind schedule and the song sounds good enough. But this wasn't the case when Anthony Kiedis was writing lyrics for Around the World. So why did the Red Hot Chili Peppers singer decide to leave placeholder lyrics in the final version of the song? Well, he did it for Flea's daughter, who had listened to the song throughout the recording process and became upset when the gibberish lyrics were removed later on in the development. So Anthony obliged and included a portion of the original lyrics near the end of the song to make Flea's daughter happy.
Well, gentlemen, I can't thank you enough for coming out here this evening. Please, Billy, please, no gibberish tonight, please, I beg you. I have an important announcement to make. That's it, Billy, get the hell out of here!
Did you know that I do all of the editing for these videos by myself? Yep, that's right, me, one person. Including research, script writing, voiceovers, thumbnails, video editing, promotion. It's a lot of work and requires a full-time job for one person to handle, which I don't mind doing because I love being able to express my humor while also talking about the music that I enjoy. However, it would also be great to have some help improving my content, and that's where I need your help. The easiest way to support this channel is to click the like button. This will help the video get shown to more people. A better way to support this channel is to subscribe and hit the notification bell. This will help you get notified when we release new videos each week. And if you really want to make a big difference, check the description of this video for more ways that you can help this channel grow and support the creation of new content. If you like what we're doing, show us some love and let us know that you're out there. And let us know in the comments what your favorite album is. Perhaps we'll talk about it in a future video. Thank you all so much for your continued love and support. Number 9. Shadow boxing. Anthony Kiedis opens up about struggles with drug addiction on the Red Hot Chili Peppers hit song Other Side, which might explain some of the imagery used in the music video, where we can see Flea strung out and playing bass on the wires of a telephone pole, or a person battling with their shadow self as they try to navigate a complex maze where just when one thinks they found an exit, they simply find themselves trapped in another part of the same puzzle. The video ends with the main character in the same exact situation they were in at the beginning of the video, symbolizing the never-ending cycle of drug addiction. The song and video are allegedly a tribute to founding Red Hot Chili Peppers guitarist Hillel Slovik, who died of an overdose in 1988. Number 10. Californication, the video game. Have you ever watched the music video for Californication and thought to yourself, wow, I want to play a Red Hot Chili Peppers video game so I can go snowboarding with John Frusciante, or fly on a giant dragonfly with Anthony Kiedis, or ride in a minecart with Indiana Jones. Flea. Well, somebody did, and that somebody was Mikel Comps Ortega, a video game developer who created a Californication video game. He started the project as a 2-day challenge, which grew into a full-fledged project with 7 levels of varied gameplay. If you're interested in checking out the game, you can find a link down below in the description.
Dream of Californication. Dream of California.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you liked that video, you might also like 10 fun facts about Sublime's self-titled album.